Now what I have right here is the brand new Tesla Model 3, and you can instantly tell this is the brand new one by these new style lights just here. But also if you happen to jump on the inside, you'll notice that, well, there are no stalks now. So no stalks for indicators and no stalks for gears. I'll get onto that later in the video. But before any of that, I just wanted to clarify one thing. As with all my car reviews on my YouTube channel, I purely review them. I do not get paid by any car manufacturer, nor am I sponsored by anyone. So everything you see and hear in this video are my own thoughts and views on this particular model. So let's take a look. Now recently I had actually test driven and reviewed the Tesla Model Y, and as the Model Y and Model 3 are so similar, I actually did reach out to Tesla and kind of check out the previous Model 3 before checking out this one. So I can kind of relate to it and can definitely see the differences. Of course, as I mentioned, there are a few changes on the inside like stalks and things. But let's start on the exterior first. So yes, I did mention there are new lights now. So these are a lot more kind of swooping and more angular, kind of almost like squinting slightly. Now, if you're new to Tesla, notice on the front as well, there are no parking sensors, but that's because Tesla have a thing called Tesla Vision, and it's surprisingly really good. Basically, as you park, you'll notice that the kind of visions will come up on the screen, all kind of in black and white, but it'll very clearly show you where objects are and of course beep at you, just like parking sensors would. So pretty clever. Now Tesla as well have also made this one of the slipperiest cars they've ever made, where it can literally cut through the air. And this is a very, very impressive 0.219, which is, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's one of the world's best. Basically what that means for you and I when we're driving, it'll be quieter, cutting through that air. And number two, you use less power because it cuts through the air, which means more range. So really good on that front. Also, Tesla fitted acoustic glass around the entire car now, which now means it's even quieter on the inside. And that is one of the first things I noticed when I drove it on the road. Now, of course, I have this Tesla here in white today, but there are two new colours that you might want to check out. So yes, I believe these are unique to the Tesla Model 3, but the two new colours are Stealth Grey and Ultra Red as shown here. Now when it comes to dimensions of the new Tesla Model 3, the length is 4,719mm, width 2,087mm, that's with the mirrors, height 1,440mm, and of course got them all in inches as well. Now, you're probably wondering what the price is. Well, this one I have here is actually the standard one. So Tesla actually have a few different trims, and they actually make it really easy. So there's a Tesla rear-wheel drive, which is this one. Then there's a Tesla long range, and then there's a Tesla Model 3 Performance, which was literally just announced on the 23rd of April. So good job of making this today. But the starting price of this one is around about £40,000, range 318 miles, and 0 to 62, 5.8 seconds. So it's pretty quick. And actually, arguably, I have looked at Tesla Model 3s before, and with the kind of specification, that sort of thing that's offered on them now, I think I might actually go for the standard one, because actually it's pretty good. However, if you do want more range, they do have Tesla long range, which looks almost identical apart from the badge on the very back. But yes, long range starts at around 49,990, 390 miles, but this time the 0 to 62 is 4.2 seconds. That's not even the fastest. That's the middle one. There's a Tesla Model 3 Performance, which was literally just announced. This one has a few upgrades to a few other things, but 59,990, 328 mile range, 2.9 seconds. Honestly, I've not driven a Tesla performance model of anyone at the moment. I've only driven the long range Model Y and then the standard one of this one. But performance, who needs that much power? Me, I want to try it out. Tesla, if you're listening, I want to try out a performance model. Anyway, let's get back to this one. Now, another thing on the wheels, just bear in mind on the wheel choice. So these are the standard ones, and actually I think they suit it quite well, especially in white, and especially if you go grey, that colour contrast I think suits it very well. But if you want to, you can go for a different size wheel. Just bear in mind the range will be slightly different. As with all electric cars, it might only sound like a little bit, but it will add up over time. Cool, so let's have a look at the back. Now the rears also changed very slightly as well. Notice this is for obviously current Tesla model owners. The T that was here has now been replaced by Tesla all the way across here. And if you go for the long range version, you'll get, I think it says long range or all-wheel drive down here. And if you go for the performance version, I believe you also do get some kind of spoiler lip on the back, which is quite nice. I think it might be in carbon fibre from what I've seen. And then there's also what looks to be a plaid badge, but I don't believe it is actually plaid. But yeah, hopefully you might be able to check that out in the future because it's literally just been announced. But yeah, let's take a look at the frunk, because of course Teslas have those, and of course the boot. And I want to get onto the rear seats because they have a screen in the back, which is pretty cool now. So I want to check that out. And of course the multimedia system, which Teslas are famous for. Now, one thing I didn't show before when I reviewed the Model Y was the Tesla car key, or should I say car card. Yes, this is literally what you use to unlock and lock and start it. It's literally just this. So you tap it literally just there. Cool, right? So, when it comes to the boot capacity is quoted at just under 700 litres, which I believe also includes the frunk as well, so about 682 litres to be precise. But yes, when you look in here, it goes all the way back. It's surprising how far back it actually goes. It's really, really practical. The only thing I will add, of course, it opens a bit like a saloon, so it's not like where the glass goes back like a hatchback. So obviously if you have like a dog like myself, obviously this might not be that suitable because they really wouldn't want to go in there. It'd be pitch black for them. But yeah, just something to factor in. There is underfloor storage space as well, but there's charge cables under there and a couple of bags. So yeah, nice little underfloor storage space there. Now see, because I've done this before on the Model Y, I know where the button is now. It's on the screen, like everything, which we'll get onto in a minute. But yes, this is the frunk, and yeah, nice little extra storage space there for maybe like a hold or something. And you'll also notice the windscreen wash is on the front there as well. In the rear, your eye is drawn to an 8-inch touchscreen, which rear passengers and kids will absolutely love. You can adjust climate control, the front passenger seat for increased legroom. I did try to adjust the drivers and that obviously doesn't work for safety reasons. Adjust music, playback video on Netflix, YouTube and Twitch. There's also what Tesla call a toy box with various games to play in the back, which I'm presuming you can connect controllers to as well. There's also USB-C ports with higher wattage for charging power-hungry devices, hooks either side for hanging clothes, and a glorious panoramic sunroof which for the rear passengers extends to the back of the car. As this is a lower car, the floor is raised to compensate for the battery underneath, resulting in your feet placed higher than usual. Just bear this in mind as it will look even more emphasised on me because of my long legs and my height being 6'2". Storage on the rear seats is good too, and cup holders in the middle like most new cars. Now just before we jump into the front, check out the new multicoloured ambient lighting found on the inside with all sorts of colours you can choose. Now sadly during the day you can't see it as much, so this is what it looks like at night. Right, onto the front. Oh, and guys, if you're loving this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button. So guys, up front, Tesla continues their minimalistic approach, and to be honest, they've taken it even further this time. So if you jump into Tesla, you'll instantly notice, of course, this massive screen here, and I have nothing to say but good things about this screen, because the multimedia system and the experience you have on this screen is so good. And honestly, I think other manufacturers should also be careful, because Tesla, being a software company, they ace this. It's so good. It's just so neatly integrated with the charging infrastructure, and I even made a video about why Tesla don't have CarPlay. Yes, I know that sounds mad in itself. You ought to go watch that video, which I'll link down below and on the pop-up banner up above. But yeah, they don't have CarPlay because this is so good. Literally, if you go on Apple Music, for example, you just log in with your Apple Music on here. You don't even need your phone. It just uses the car's data. Yes, you of course connect your phone for calls and things, but yeah, it's just so simple. So we'll get on to more on that in a second. But what I wanted to touch on very quickly is their minimalistic approach has been taken even further. So yes, look at the steering wheel. What do you notice? I did kind of mention at the start, there's no stalks behind here. And the stalks, of course, are usually for indicating lights, wipers, and in a lot of cars, gears now. But no, there's nothing here. Literally nothing. So yeah, the only buttons in here now are the door. So you press the button to open the door like that. And then you've got the windows just down there and a few buttons on the steering wheel and hazards up there. That's it. So yeah, the indicators now, as there's no stalks, are on the steering wheel. So you literally press these buttons here. I say buttons, they're actually haptic buttons, but the haptics on them are really good. If you own a MacBook, believe it or not, the touchpad in the middle is actually a haptic, and it's so good it feels like a click. I would actually describe the haptic in this to be almost identical. It's the haptic on it is just so good, it actually feels like a button. But yeah, moreover to the point, indicators, they're not on the stalk now, they're literally a button on here. So that does take a little bit of getting used to, and there's been countless times that I haven't managed to capture on video, but of me driving along, go to indicate, and there's nothing there. So yeah, it'll take a few days, if not about a week, for you to get used to that for sure, because that is a bit different, especially if you've been driving for years. But you might be wondering, well, hang on, where's the wipers? Well, that's also buttons on the wheels, so that's over here as well, a button you press, and of course it will do the wipers. So yeah, literally everything is controlled virtually on your thumbs like this. So yes, Tesla have taken their minimalistic approach even further now. So let's have a quick tour around, and shall we? So in here we have storage with a USB-C port just down in there, so pretty good. In terms of charging, there's 2 wireless chargers here, which again is just amazing to have 2 wireless chargers in the car. We have 2 cup holders in here, and then in this one, nice big storage in there that actually goes down quite far. And then we've got a 12-volt socket at the back there as well. So yes, minimalism all round. And some of you might be thinking, does it just not get in the way? Like, you know, there's no vents to control or anything like that. Because you put your kind of ventilation on, like your climate control, which is all done down here. Again, it is all kind of on touchscreens, so there's no physical buttons, because Tesla, they must have a thing against like buttons or something, but who knows? But yeah, literally climate control's down here, and you just adjust it like this. Now, yes, there's a variety of different things you can do on here, but honestly, the easiest thing I found is literally just find the temperature that you want, and you literally just swipe left and right like that. That's the thing I find. Now, if you guys have never seen a Tesla before, you'll notice as well, they don't have an instrument cluster here. So yes, they do these different types of things, which you just think, is that not a negative? No, because again, you kind of do get used to it. Now, when I drove the Tesla Model Y, I'd say it probably took a day to get used to that. So this is where your speed is, because there's no speed here. There's no head-up display. There's literally nothing here. Everything is on this screen, and your speed literally appears up here. So we'll see that when we go out for a drive. Now, you know one thing that I really, really like about this, and it's the build quality that Tesla have suddenly got in the Model 3. I mean, hear me out here. You know, if you go to like a cheaper car, and yes, I've had cheap cars before. I've had Peugeots, which clutch broke the first month in, so fun times. I've had Vauxhalls before, and quite a lot of the cheaper cars will usually have that kind of horrible, like scratchy plastic. Now, I can't demonstrate this in here because that plastic is not here. Like genuinely, that scratchy plastic you can find, it's not in here. So even on the doors, down at the bottom, it's all kind of leathery kind of material. Even in the back as well, even down the sides here, there's none of that scratchy plastic which you can find, which just screams cheap. It's all nice squidgy leather materials everywhere, even up here and up here as well. It's everywhere. And do you know another thing that I like as well? I had looked at Tesla Model 3s before, the previous model. The one thing I did not like, I absolutely despised on the previous Tesla Model 3, was that wood trim that went across there. And maybe it's just me, I'm not a fan of black and brown in a car. I just don't think it goes together. But look in the new one here. They've removed it. They've just given that kind of more sleeker looking design, different colour contrast across here, from the lighter grey to the silver there to the darker grey there. And yeah, I really like it. But yeah, that wood is now gone, thank goodness. I wasn't a huge fan of that. Oh, we've got a horse coming over to us. He's come to check out the Tesla Model 3. So the only thing now to do is to take this car for a drive and let you know what it's like out on the open road. Okay, so to start, we use our special key or card. That goes here in the new one. Foot on the brake pedal, and then all we do, now I mentioned there's no stalks, you'll notice the gears are here. So literally you go up for drive, so now we're good to go, like this. Or swipe down for reverse, and now we're reversing like this. So yeah, that is really, really different. But yes, we want to go for a drive. So into drive, and away we go. We'll just get out onto the road. Now, the thing that I noticed immediately when I drove it before was how quiet it is. You could literally whisper in here. It's so quiet. Now, Tesla have adjusted all these different things. In fact, they've stated various different percentages from 10 to 30. I think one of them was even 40% of different things they've done to improve. But obviously there's the acoustic glass and various other things around the cabin which just make it so much quieter. And yeah, the noisiest thing is the seatbelt rubbing against my shirt. So it's really interesting because obviously I've just reviewed the Model Y, and I did hear from someone at Tesla saying that they weren't changing the Model Y this year. So that makes me think, well, Model Y, you know, being one of the world's best-selling cars, they're bound to be upgrading that somewhere. So I'd imagine these upgrades in this car are probably going to go in the Model Y next year. And now I don't know that for certain, but I'm just speculating that could happen. They might even bring out another model, who knows. So yeah, in terms of ride comfort, apart from being very, very quiet, I know EVs are very quiet anyway, but yeah, this one is especially quiet. Ride is good as well. I'd actually say this is softer than my daily car. So I drive a Mercedes A-Class, and yeah, the ride is smoother, the seats are more comfortable as well. So yeah, Tesla really, really up their game. Now obviously I haven't spent a huge amount of time in the previous one. I did get to drive it just so I could make these comparisons, but yeah, it's really good. Now guys, a few of you as well are wondering what the performance is like on the standard one. Well, this is a rear-wheel drive one, and isn't the all-wheel drive or long-range version or the performance one that's just been announced. But let me show you. It's pretty quick. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. So fast. There you go, look at that. It really doesn't take long. And this is the slowest one. I remember when I looked at Model 3 before, and I was like, the performance one will be really nice, but I think long-range version will probably suit me down to the ground. Actually, with the improvements they've made on it now, I'd actually be happy with this kind of standard one, because it's actually all round really good and the range is really decent. I think long range now, I mean, that 0 to 60, what was it, like 4.2 seconds or something? That's crazy fast. That's like supercar fast. And if you go for like the performance model, oh my god, that's just even faster. It's crazy what Tesla can do with the performance of the cars. It's insane. But yeah, honestly, I think rear-wheel drive one, actually. Although I would love an all-wheel drive car for my next car, but yeah, rear-wheel drive actually kind of has virtually everything that I would need from a car. So yeah, and the build quality, again, as I said, is really good, and the multimedia system, the software is so good as well. So it's just an all-round amazing package. And honestly, when it comes to car manufacturers, because I've reviewed a few EVs now from other car manufacturers, they really need to watch Tesla, because Tesla are just doing things so well. I'm talking like the things like included dash cam and Sentry mode and the integration of the charger networks. Just no one else does it better. And again, when I reviewed the Tesla Model Y, I look to Tesla when reviewing other car manufacturers as the benchmark as to what an EV should be. Well guys, that concludes this week's video on the Tesla Model 3. Now, of course, if you have any questions, drop them in the comment section down below and I will get back to you. I personally try and reply to every single one of you. So let me know what your thoughts are on the Tesla Model 3. Would you consider this for your first EV or an upgrade for an EV you have currently? Let me know. But guys, thank you so much. See you next time.